Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair ragale, ni hao, chune shumme, washmale, ohio gozaima's, guten morgen, hi, hugs, hellos, privyet, hola, bonjour, and a very amazing khush amadi to everybody who's tuned into PT World and Watching World this morning, alongside the very yellow Maha Makhdoom and Shazad Khan. Hello, Maha, how are you?
I'm very
You
good.
look great today.
Thank you so much. I feel good today. I'm just getting on with things, trying to be productive. I've been getting involved with all my writing and stuff again, so it's been good.
And I'm just a bit stressed today, Maha.
Why?
Because you know what happened? Because mothers usually do not tell their sons that you're getting fat, or daughters as well.
They don't?
And even though no, they do not. I mean, because they make you
I'll tell you a
parathas, they
story
make you all
afterwards.
types of
Okay.
andas and whatnot, and then force you to eat that. But it's been like at least 14 days that I've been going to the gym, and she told me that you're getting fatter now. And I was like, Mom, what are you trying to say? So it's all right. I think the hard work's not paying off as of yet.
Okay, well, the thing is, it's not just about exercise, as we've done multiple shows on it. You know that it's about balanced diet and it's about
And
the
then she
routine.
forces me to eat a paratha too.
Okay, but that's the thing. But one paratha, not two, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
extra ones are all on you. No, but anyway, mothers are there to make sure that you
Exactly.
are looking after yourselves. But with that, we got a wonderful show lined up for you today. And Shazad, I wanted to share my stress actually.
Sure,
I
go
have
ahead.
been stressed
Go
today.
ahead.
So I've been having some mobile network problems. And I
Okay.
just wanted to share this with people that before you decide a network, do ask around, do make sure what the service coverage is and what their service providing level is like, because a lot of them don't care and they will take your money and not provide you with a service. I will name the company I'm with tomorrow, but I want to make sure that I'm allowed to. So I will let you guys know, because it's about
Okay, let me
giving you-
let me
it's
guess
about
the
giving you
company's
guys
name.
information about having an easier life, not adding stresses to it.
Exactly, but let me guess the company's name. I think I'm good with telekinesis as well, so let me think.
Go ahead.
Okay, just think of the company within your own head.
Alright,
Okay, and let me grab it. Oh yeah, so it's kind of your phone type of company, right? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, see,
It
I
is,
can do that.
it is your phone kind of company. Anyway, let's go for the top stories, and when you come back, we will get started with the show.
Let's do it. The Asian Development Bank has increased limit for private sector operations in Pakistan from $700 million to $1.7 billion. Wow.
Thousands of new Rohingya refugees crossed the border into Bangladesh from Myanmar, fleeing hunger and attacks by Buddhist mobs that the United Nations has called ethnic cleansing. And Buddhism is supposed to be, it's associated with peace,
Yeah.
tolerance, love, acceptance.
Exactly.
What's happening?
Stephen Wiltshire is known for his panoramic drawings of iconic urban skylines, a typical feat for any artist. But what sets him apart is the fact that his sketches are done entirely from memory. Wow, what vivid memories then.
Photographic memory like you. And the new trailer for Star Wars, The Last Jedi, has finally been released. And I know a lot of people have been waiting for this.
I've never ever watched this film. I don't know. I do not.
I watched the original.
I cannot connect to this film.
It didn't scare me enough then. The past died. Settle down. This is not the way you think. Destiny.
Nice.
Third one-day international between Pakistan and Sri Lanka will be played today in Abu Dhabi. Pakistan is leading 5-match series by 2-0.
Go team.
Go green.
And now, moving on, we're going to go to our public service message. And today, Shazad will be taking over the reins.
Really?
Let's take a look.
All right, let's do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I think the public service message is a very important one today, and that has to do with your own self and with your own ambitions and the way you want things to be around you. So it doesn't really matter what walk of life you come from, May you be a Christian, may you be a Muslim, may you be a Jew, wherever you're living in Canada, in Pakistan, or elsewhere in the world. If you want to be different, I mean, and when I say different means that if you want to create a difference within the society or the community you live in, you really do not want a permission from anybody. You have to do it. You know, they need to be your own initiative. So please make sure that if you want something to be in a different way, in a better way, where you're working for people or you want to work for people, you have to do it yourself.
Exactly. So, you know, that's another thing, that no boundary can put your desire on change, right?
Exactly. Very well said.
Yeah, thanks.
That's
Thanks.
a
I
nutshell.
almost didn't get it out there. So, but now that links in perfectly with the show that we're going to be talking about now. The first segment, it's about people, you know, who have different origins, or different backgrounds. They've had to migrate or move, and they are bringing about change and inclusivity and tolerance, and trying to show the world that, you know, this is just skin color. These are just kind of differences, and you can have differences and still sit in the same room. You can have dialogue and not come out with the same conclusion.
Exactly, because half of the time people, I've heard them saying that, oh, we live in a place where it's very hard for us to raise our concerns or voices as well. But she's the one who's actually defied all of these thoughts or the thought processes as well, and she's done it. She's a member of several organizations. She's a social and a community activist as well. And we have been joined by?
We've been joined by Ruby Malik. She is visiting from Canada. She's worked for the Government of Canada in the Department of Status of Women Canada as a senior manager. She's also worked in the Department of Citizenship, Immigration and Veterans Affairs. And as Shazad said, she's also worked on issues for gender equity, women empowerment, poverty reduction and protection of basic human rights. And Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much for
Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you very
us.
much for joining us. So how did you manage to do all of this at such a young age?
That's a great compliment to start off the
Thank you.
conversation. Actually, I've lived in US and Canada for over 27 years now.
Okay.
Wow.
I did move at a very young age. And then
Yeah, that's why I said you're still young. Right?
Thank you. Lots of different things have happened. As we all know, immigrating to a new country, lots of struggles, lots of hurdles and burdens that you carry along when you're making your way through. So a lot of that, but I think the key message is perseverance and having a vision and then working towards it.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because this is the thing. We're going to be talking about, about people, because people have different opinions of how it is when you go and live abroad.
Exactly.
People also believe that you cannot practice your religion or live a certain lifestyle when you leave your origin of birth, right? But the thing is, there's multiple people doing it. It's there, it's happening, and people are living very good lives. So tell us the struggles that you faced when you moved there, because you worked on so many social issues, gender equity, women empowerment, poverty reduction. How did you get into all of that? As being from here, having that different background.
I think one of the main obstacles many of us immigrating to any Western country is getting our education equated. So it's not equivalent when we move. I had a bachelor's degree from Pakistan, which basically, when I got it evaluated, meant nothing. So I had to start from scratch. And
So that means you weren't a good student here too?
No. It's actually, they were weighing the credits that we have here.
It's all
and
right. I
versus
was just kidding.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it's... So that's one of the main struggles, I
So
think.
people should bear in mind the educational life. They should
Exactly,
learn.
exactly. And keep in mind the country they're wanting to go to, what the requirements are, and what are some of the things they can do as homework and get a head start when you're moving there.
All right, so research is definitely very important, even if you are, going to purchase a new television, ladies and gentlemen. But if you're moving to a new demographic or geographic area, I think what we need to do is that we need to particularly know their rules and what they want from you as well.
Right.
But other than that, you just mentioned about a vision as well, where you have been a member of so many other organizations working for the people as well. Now, for example, somebody with a bachelor's degree moved to Canada, had a difficulty in the education credentials and whatnot.
Right.
How do you think it was instilled within you that, okay, this is going to be Ruby who's going to do so much for the people of your origin particularly, or for everybody?
So I think going through it, you learn many lessons. And as I started to progress and go up the ladder a little bit and got stabilized myself, I worked with lots of nonprofit organizations, including lots that have worked closely with newcomers, both immigrants and refugees. So you see a continuum of different people coming with different skills. So based on my own experience, I was able to at least have them go through and navigate through the system. Sometimes it's easier when you've been through to assist others, and they can save some time, be more efficient about it.
And I think this was a question which needs to come from Maha, but I'm going to ask you, and
Well,
that
yeah,
is, have you met Justin Trudeau?
I have met Justin
Wow.
Trudeau because I work for federal government.
Yeah.
I work for the Department of Status of Women Canada, and in that capacity, he's technically my boss.
Okay.
So we do funding announcements for different projects that we fund. So I've met him on
Okay.
few.
He's a great guy,
He's very charming personality and very accessible.
just like me.
Okay. Anyway, so you are very charming and accessible.
Thank you. Accessible.
So tell us, you're working in the Department of Women, Status of Women Canada.
Right.
Tell us about that.
So Status of Women Canada works towards gender equity. As we might think that Canada is one of the very progressed countries already, very developed. However, we still have lots of issues that are faced by women there. For example, wage gap is still there. Recent Statistics Canada did some study, and the stats are that in Canada even, women are earning 87 cents where a man would get the same, get $1 for the same work. So it's their gender gap is there. So there's lots of things that still need to be done. So our department is doing work on both sides, working with the women as well as on the systemic side.
Okay, now this is actually really interesting because, coming from, a country where we are also struggling with these things, it's a constant, women empowerment battle. There's a lot of discussions happening within this country. There's lots of movements to educate women, to give them rights and recognition for the work that they do in the rural communities. So having that background, that cultural background, where women are naturally seen as subservient or behind men, to go to a country where you're being put at the front line and your opinion as someone who's not born in that country is valued. That's amazing.
Right, thank you. I think it's interesting because I do bring a different perspective to the table. Lots of, at the position that I'm in, we are making funding decisions based on when the organizations are applying to us. So a different perspective of having visible minority perspective, being a Muslim woman, being a minority in a mainstream society, and being through so many different things where you have said, coming from a very male-dominating society. And we do work with some vulnerable populations in Canada as well. Lots of Indigenous women, Indigenous communities have lots of issues that are very closer to what I've seen back home here.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, it's terrible what's happening with them there.
No, but over here, what happens is that even if we talk about, that vulnerable sector of the society, well, by the end of the day, we do have to be inclusive. So I think that definitely comes up as a challenge as well. So how do you guys go around that challenge?
So being a smaller community in a larger pool, it's always an effort, that extra effort that we need to put in. I would give you an example of putting ourselves on the line and trying to be more into the mainstream. We had civic elections yesterday in the province that I am in Alberta. Lots of candidates for the first time from lots of different ethnic and visible minority backgrounds came into and stood up as candidates. Not all of them won, but that also makes a big statement that we are wanting to be included in the mainstream. So inclusivity is very important, and we make sure that we are getting into all the big decision-making tables.
Exactly. And there was also a video that went viral, and now he's now the newly elected leader of the more leftist party. The gentleman he was a Sikh, he's the leader of the opposition party?
Yes, so NDP has chosen, that's the first Sikh leader, so that's very recent news.
So that's amazing. I'm sorry, his name has slipped my mind right now.
It's perfectly all right.
But we will get it for you and
Yeah,
share it.
so you've got a photographic memory too.
No,
as well.
I don't. I've never said I have.
Did you read it?
I read it. I've read it, and I watched the video, and it was just so amazing the way he was just didn't make that distinction that no, I'm not a Muslim. He's like, no, intolerance and hatred is not acceptable. So that's wonderful.
And that's where I was coming to as well. Now, for a community which is so diverse as well, where people from all walks of life are there,
Yes, literally.
even though they can contest in elections and whatnot. But as a matter of fact, tolerance is not by virtue. You have to practice it. So how do you think people do it? Probably when you're in Canada and when they see that a Muslim lady is working for every other aspect of the community and the society, how tolerant are they?
I think Canadian environment is such that people are very friendly to start with. I think it's also getting them informed and getting them educated. It's also sharing information, because most of the image they are creating, the information they are getting from is from media and other aspects, and it's more of interaction at personal level and informing the organizations, informing the individuals that we meet with, getting to let them know what our values are, and it's mostly all comes down to core human values, right? So we can relate on all of those at a very basic level. So it's more about educating and finding so many things that are common to us rather than being so different.
Okay, but that's another thing. So we're talking about the tolerance, and that's wonderful. But you know, there are the issues with the indigenous community as well, right?
Right.
And then also recently, the Quebec also passed a new neutral legislation as well, which I was reading about yesterday, where they're banning the niqab on public transport, on buses. So there are still issues within, you know, developed nations too, like we're seeing happening in the West a lot. So, you know, the issues we're facing on a bigger scale, other countries are facing too. How do you then maneuver in that environment where people are discussing your, you know, it's a religion that you come from, you know, you're Muslim female, your family comes from this, you know, from a Muslim country. When these discussions are taking place, how do you maintain that commitment to Pakistan and Canada and your religion? It's a lot of hats to juggle.
That's very true, and it's one of the things that at personal level you are always struggling with at some level. It's managing so many different aspects that are core built of who you are. I think managing it well means that you are always staying true to your core values, and also informing that what the religion is about, what Islam is about, what are the core principles. Some of the things that might come across in stereotyping are not really true and might be coming from different aspects that are not part of Islam. So, and also, I think it's a very strong message to my friends, the community that I work in, that being very empowered female and independent Pakistani origin woman who's also a Canadian citizen is a combination that also makes me stronger in many ways. So I am taking the best of both cultures, taking the best of my roots as well as where I am right now. And I have 3 young daughters who are also Pakistani Canadians, so they are also raised on the same values of being very independent and empowered while carrying values of both cultures.
That is amazing. But you know, when we say while carrying values of both countries, I think it lies a great responsibility on your shoulders too as well, where you, being a Pakistani and a Canadian citizen, have done quite a lot for the Canadian community. Now, I think the Pakistani people might ask that, you know, if you're so empowered and if you're working for women empowerment and whatnot and for the status of women as well, when do you think that you're going to take an initiative over here in Pakistan?
Or do you think it's your responsibility to? Should you do that?
I think it is.
I don't know.
Because when you say Pakistani Canadian citizen, I think it comes in with.
Shahzad has confirmed that it is.
No, it's debatable. Let's continue.
No,
because I'm a British Pakistani.
Let's ask her.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you, Shahzad, that for sure it is responsibility for all of us who are born in a certain place and we have roots here. Wherever we move to, I think we need to give back to the community that we are raised in. So I've worked at grassroots level at many different levels and mostly working on economic security. So back home here, it's more of working on the very start of the continuum where women are very much in poverty, getting them to focus somewhat more on education as well as so they can be standing on their feet and they can become more independent. And that also helps with the fleeing situations of violence and so many other things. So.
Yep, okay. And also I remember the name of the leader. It's Jagmeet Singh.
Jagmeet Singh?
He's the leader of the...
You just remember?
Yeah, I just remembered. We were talking. Okay, so now, Shahzad, okay. Now, that's fine. You know, you were from here, you decided to leave for whatever reason. So that's another thing. I think the reasons that make you migrate to another place, that has also, has the ability to say how much you're going to help that country as well, right? Because if you had to leave because that country wasn't letting you survive, then why would you go back?
Well, it's not always like that, but this is not where I was heading. You know, where I was trying to head was that since you have managed to do so much work for women as well themselves, Can you highlight a few problems which you still see prevailing within the Pakistani communities and the society?
And I'd just like to add, and the stuff that you've implemented in Canada, is there anything that
Yeah.
women here can use?
Cut, copy, and paste.
Yeah.
I think it there cannot be copy, cut, paste approach. I think there can be many lessons learned for sure. We can always benefit from best practices from one situation to the other. I think the basic issue that I think needs to be handled is lack of education for young women, girls, the opportunities that they're missing. If they're not getting the education, the basic education right that they need to be accessing at a younger age, then it becomes a big problem later
Okay,
on.
absolutely. So then you've identified this is what you think, but then this is the main problem. This is what we've been discussing as well. So how do you think you're going to, building on Shazad's question, that one should give back. So how are you going to make sure that they get this education?
So the thing is, there are alternative approaches to having education. It might not be that always there are schools that the girls are going to. So lots of other community members that I know coming from Canada have built schools here, but it's also the schools is just an infrastructure,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So it's the will and the mindset that needs to be changed. I think what I want to be involved in is workshops and education of parents and other intergenerational dialogue that needs to happen, that exemplifies how education benefits the society when the girls and women are educated, and also how the empowerment is good for the whole family, the community, and it's not just for the women.
Beautiful.
While staying in line with that
Yeah,
cultural.
beautiful. One last thing now, and that is, I think, I'm going to make it easy for you to give back to the society, and that is when we talk about the expat community. So how, for example, all of those Pakistani women you see over there, or men as well, with whom you meet and greet as well on daily basis, or whenever you guys feel like, how do you guys think about Pakistan, that, okay, while being in Canada, this is how we can help back home?
So we are always wanting to fundraise for some of the specific things that come up. So sometimes there are crisis situations, we always jump in to help out. But we also want to do some sustainable change. On that, we are wanting to make we have made non-profit organizations. Some are in the very early stages of starting up, where we would be collecting funds as well as pulling expertise from different members. We all come from different backgrounds. So my IT friends could contribute in some ways where we can have input from them and so on. So different ways of experience, expertise, as well as funding and sourcing.
Amazing. And one last thing, and that is, very sorry, very sorry. Okay, so Ma, what happens is that, for example, when I visited UK, so I could see that, people still wear those 1970s silk clothes, and then they used to listen to the old songs.
You have that in Canada too,
What
right?
kind of music do you listen to over there in Canada? Do you listen to any Pakistani artists?
We do. We did have Atif Aslam come by recently
everywhere.
to Edmonton. That's the city that we live in. So we have Bhangra. I'm very fond of Punjabi music. I have lots of Sikh friends. So lots of Gurdas Man was there. So we do have live interactions.
Well, this is what you have to do, that, right after the segment, we have a segment dedicated to music. So you just have to sit back, relax, and listen to
enjoy.
it.
Great,
Thank you so much for being here. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And
It was
best
my
of luck.
pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very much
so
for being with
much.
us.
And that was Ruby Malik visiting from Canada. She does work with the government of Canada. But from now, as Shazad said, we're going to go take a short break. And when you come back, we're going to get you bopping.
Aashiki ki hai. Let's take a break. Good morning.
ancient city of Taxila is the heart of stonework in Pakistan. This art, which has been preserved and practiced for centuries, can be seen on many major landmarks of the country. Notably, the Pietra Dura work in the Lahore Fort's Sheesh Mahal. These stone products take days to complete and require immense precision and skill from the craftsmen. The final products are perfect for souvenirs, gifts and decoration pieces, each depicting the richness of Pakistani culture at its best. Camel skin and ivory craft are trademarks of Multan's handicraft repertoire. Camel skin is cleaned, dried and mounted onto molds which can be of any shape desired. Multicolored lacquer painting is then used to ornament the molds, which in the end bear a Mughal or Persian feel. Ivory is crafted into pens, chess sets, jewelry and other accessories such as keychains by the expert craftsmen. Such detailed work, while being extravagant, is indeed a feat to achieve, and craftsmen of Multan produce beauty with their work which is worthy of global admiration. The enchanting arts and crafts of Pakistan.
Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were joined by Ruby Malik, who was visiting from Canada, and talking about the expat life and community and what actually is the responsibility of Pakistanis living abroad, if any, to their community there and back home. So that was a wonderful conversation. And now Shahzad is going to introduce the next segment.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to talk about music where everybody knows that we keep on saying that music has no boundaries, music has no language. But other than that, I think one of the corporate brands took initiative of getting all of these bands together, and I think that they kind of did quite a lot good to the music industry as well, where the bands actually got the space to probably develop their own skills and be on top of their goals. But, you know, talking about all of these bands, one of my favorites is over here on the show. Even before being on the Battle of the Bands, they were here on the show. These guys are amazing with what they do. The band is known as Kamaj, and we have been joined by Mr. Mahmood Khan, who's the guitarist of the band. Hello, assalamu alaikum, Mahmood. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm good.
Thank you very much. Good morning. And alongside Mr. Mahmood, very energetic, very amazing. But do you want me to say the normal name or the artist
the one
name?
that they gave.
All right, so we have got Sayyid Arsalan Shah, who's a singer of Kamaj band, and there are quite a lot of members missing as well because we just invited two. Hello, how are you?
I'm pretty good. What about you?
Thank you very much for joining
Thank
us.
you for
It's
joining
lovely
us.
to have you guys.
And
But
congratulations on everything that you guys achieved recently.
Yeah, but before we indulge in any sort of conversation or we, request you to sing us a song, how does it feel before the Battle of the Bands and after the Battle of the Bands, after so much exposure?
It's a good feeling. I mean, moving from the underground category to the mainstream category of the Pakistani music. Even though we had to
Yeah, it's all right. It didn't work
unrelease
out.
the original
Yeah.
song, which we already have released due to certain reasons. But still, getting that fame, getting that hype, getting that fan following, it's an amazing experience. I guess for each and every one of us.
And then what happens is that, when you get this exposure and when you get a greater number of fans, I think you're more dedicated towards your work and you want to be better and better.
Obviously, because every time the expectations are getting higher and higher. So you have to be better from the last time you were.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to you, Arslan. How was it performing? Same question, based on the same question. Before Battle of the Bands, and then performing on a stage in front of so many people, being watched by everyone within the country, and also Pakistanis and people who love music abroad.
Well, it's a great feeling, whenever you perform on a big, when you get a big opportunity, it's always a good thing. So now it's that, like, people used to meet us and like, okay, you were at the Pepsi Battle of Bands and you were great, and it feels great, whenever they comment you or they appreciate your work. And now we're working hard,
Okay.
and we're doing different kind of projects right now. So
And
now we are
since
taking
I
it
do so
serious.
many other shows as well, so what happens is that I happen to know quite a lot of singers and musicians as well. So there are two sentiments. The first of all, obviously, the vocalist gets more of fan following as well. So your inbox might be full of
because he's on the
messages.
front, he has to,
Universal,
he
that's a
has to
universal
sing.
law, right?
Yeah.
98%.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one is that, for somebody who cannot win a competition of this sort, I mean, they do stay optimistic, but then they're like, oh, it wasn't just fair, judges had their own favorites and whatnot. So did you feel that this sentiment was there while Battle of Bands was taking place?
Or did everyone act quite well?
We had that sentiment even up till the last episode. We were actually invited back for a guest performance,
Excellent.
but we couldn't go due to one member of our band had left left the band, and they required all the 9 members who were originally there. So, but we couldn't take him with us anymore. So we
Okay, so-
declined it.
Okay, so before we get involved in that kind of conversation, how it's evolved, how the band is evolving, and where you see yourself going, can we request some music from you guys?
Sure.
Sure.
Wonderful.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is Khamaj coming your way with a cover.
चन किथा गुजारे आई रात वे मेडा जी दलीला ते वात वे ओ चन किथा गुजारे आई चन किथा गुजारे आई रात वे मेडा जी दलीला ते वात वे ओ चन किथा गुजारे आई कोठड़े उत्ते कोठड़ा माहे कोठ सुख दियां तूरियां कलियां राता जाग के असां गिणियां तेरियां दूरियां चन किता गुजारी आई रात वे मेडा जी दलीला दे वात वे ओ चन किता गुजारी आई
Beautiful.
That was beautiful.
Thank you so
Wow.
much.
That was really good. I should have
Yeah,
recorded
you
it.
know, I just do not have words to say that,
Yeah.
even the last time when Arsalan came in and I was like, Arsalan, because this band was one of those bands where there were 2 vocalists as well. I couldn't tell him that, Arsalan, you're doing a great job. But even having said that, the other guy is superb too. But it's like, you have your own personal
Personal
favorites.
preferences. That's all.
So my personal preference was always with Arsalan, and then we were in connection as well because I love their first single. And then he sent me that over to WhatsApp, and then he was like, "Please don't share it with anybody else
That's
because you've
amazing.
got something else going on."
That's
So
great.
it's beautiful.
Okay, so now, because like Shazad said, it was a great platform for you guys. It gave you a lot of exposure. Now, before you were in the underground scene, so now how things have changed because you also have lost a member. So how are you guys going to move forward now and keep?
Actually, losing the member hasn't created much of a difference.
Okay.
When you have a band of 9 members, Losing one, I don't think would create much of a difference.
Okay.
Especially if
So-
you have
Ouch.
3 vocalists in the band.
Oh,
so that
okay.
doesn't
Especially-
make a
So
difference.
you have a backup for a backup.
Okay.
So
Right.
so why would it create any difference?
Yeah, fair enough.
So currently we are doing some new projects. We are recording our new originals right now, and we are just waiting for Muharram to end to release them and go forward with it. Plus, the concert scene in Pakistan is quite dead right now.
Okay.
So getting the most out of that exposure, that is quite a challenge right now. So
Okay. Okay, well, we look forward to the new stuff when you finally release it. Okay, now, because I wasn't here last time
Yeah.
when you guys were introduced, when you had the interview.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask Arslan, because Ashaz had mentioned that, being the face, or, being the front, not the face, the front of the band, it's a universal thing. It's normally, it's either the singer and the guitarist or the
Yeah.
singer and the drummer. It
Yeah.
depends who are the, so how do you guys maintain that harmony? Because it can happen. Let me ask Arsalan first, and then we'll ask you.
Well, it's been 2 years we're working with each other, so there's not such problem like performing with each other, because we have the mindset which either we are connected with each other. So even I'm looking at the front and the guitar is on my back, so I know the notes that where I have to sing and where I have to wait and where I have to take the harmonies.
Okay.
So now it's quite normal. It's been a long time. 2 years
Yeah.
is not.
It's just that,
It's a short
they're
time.
carrying, or there's something in front of them which they are playing, and you're playing with your vocal cords,
That's
which is right
that's
in
the
you.
thing. That's
You
the
But
don't
other
mention-
than that, now, this is a question which I've been asking quite a lot of musicians. That is that, when they reach to a certain point of fame or level, as it needs to be said, why do you think that there's this disparity amongst the band members that, okay, oh, I'm better one, so I'm going to leave now? Why can't we just stick together? For example, Jal. Now, Jal broke, right? And then other than that, the other gentleman, obviously he was like, okay, I'm a greater singer than Atif Aslam, I'll probably manage it on my own. Then EP, then we see them uniting again on a platform like this as well. So why are we doing this? We have never fought, Ma, right?
No, we discussed.
Because we're not musicians.
as we have already discussed that 98% of fan following goes with the vocalist. So I guess there is a sense of you can say jealousy that creates among the members
Okay.
regarding the fan following, the number of fan. Being the face of any band, you get the most recognition. Being a musician, especially a bassist, my younger brother who's the bassist of our band.
Yeah.
It's like bassist की कोई इज्जत नहीं है पाकिस्तान में.
course.
So
Okay.
there are certain things, but it depends upon the people who are running it. That how do you manage it?
Yeah. It's about the passion as
It's
well,
about
right?
the
No,
passion.
but there's something
Yeah,
different.
because it depends why you're doing it, right? You're either doing it for the fame and the
Yeah.
recognition and the accolade, or you're doing it to get your music out there and create beautiful music.
No, but there's something different which I want to highlight, and that is that, or probably maybe I think that our music industry is not on that level. For example, when we talk about Iron Maiden, see, it's a bigger band. Everybody knows who plays the guitar, who plays the bass, who plays the piano, who's the drummer, whatnot. Even if we talk about U2, even if we talk about any other band in the West, everybody knows about everyone. Now, I think, is it our mentality or is it the world's mentality?
It is the mentality of our people actually.
Okay. कि यार भाई
They-
जो गाता है ना वही होता है.
Yeah.
And there's a reason to it. And that is that, for example, when we go back to time when it was Qawwali, so, obviously there was one singer and
That's
all of
interesting.
them were other musicians who really do not
The
want it
roots
to be
are
known.
the roots of our music, which are based on the classical music of Pakistan. It is solely based on the vocalist.
Yeah.
So, but when you see the Western music, it's mainly dependent upon the musicians.
Yeah.
You have bands which even don't have a vocalist, and they're performing for a huge crowd.
Yeah.
So, we have actually a band in Pakistan named
Humaria.
Humaria.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a great
We've,
band.
we had them on the
So-
show as well.
I mean,
And
having
then we
an-
have got those Leon brothers as well.
yeah,
Uh,
You know,
sure.
they
And
make
sometimes
really
Red
good-
Blood
yeah.
Cat also do instrumentals as
which
well.
ones?
Red Blood Cat?
yeah,
They-
yeah,
so
yeah,
they're-
the jazz musician.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so I feel like we're being really harsh on the singers. So let's ask Arsalan, what are your thoughts now? Because you will be releasing music. You have got that following now from your platform that you just had. So how are you planning to keep your feet on the ground and not have the rest of the band members beat you up?
Well, actually, the thing is that some people are, not able to handle the fame.
Yeah.
That's the mentality. So as far as I'm concerned, the Kamaj is first. It's a family for me. Then it's a band.
Okay.
So I respect Mahmood a lot. Whatever he says on the stage, go for this song. I want you to perform this song, so I go for it, rather than
Okay.
arguing or something, because there's a respect element. So that's the thing, and you get some fame, and you say, okay, I am, I am something.
Yeah.
You got the fan following. People are following you. People are saying, oh, your song was great. You wrote the lyrics. Oh my God, so
Yeah.
that was amazing. This thing you have to manage these things. So it's been a long time we are managing, and Alhamdulillah, we'll manage it.
No,
This is
I know you
superb,
seem
and we
very.
definitely want to wish you best of luck for
Thank
your
you so
future
much.
endeavors. What we're
Yes.
going to do is that we're going to wrap up the show, and then we're going to end it with a song of yours.
Great.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, if you
Thank you for being here.
want to ask anything about Kamaj or Arsalan or Mahmood
it's just
or
like-
anybody else,
just
what
teasing
you,
you.
what you need to do is you need to write to us on our
And
Facebook
the
fan
rest,
page, which
yes.
is with the name of,
Well, this morning.
on Twitter,
Well, this morning without a G.
on Dailymotion and YouTube.
Well, this morning.
And the fabulous repeat is going to be at
11:05 p.m., 11 p.m. in the evening tonight. So have a wonderful day. Be good. Be safe.
And this is Kamaj for one last time on, well, this morning.
This
For
one is the
today.
original one. ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਚਿਮਟਾ ਬੀੜੀ ਵੰਗਾ ਨੰਗੇ ਪੈਰੀ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਚਿਮਟਾ ਬੀੜੀ ਵੰਗਾ ਨੰਗੇ ਪੈਰੀ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਆਪ ਗਵਾ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਯਾਰ ਮਨਾਵਾਂ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਚਿਮਟਾ ਵੀੜੀ ਵੰਗਾ ਲੋਕ ਇਸ਼ਕੇ ਅਸ਼ਕੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਮੁੜ ਮੁੜ ਵੇਖਣ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੋਕ ਇਸ਼ਕੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਮੁੜ ਮੁੜ ਵੇਖਣ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਹਾਂ ਦਾਸੀ ਬੁੱਲੇ ਸ਼ਾਦੀ ਗੀਤ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਦੇ ਗਾਵਾ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਚਿਮਟਾ ਬੀੜੀ ਵੰਗਾ ਨੰਗੇ ਪੈਰੀ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਚਿਮਟਾ ਬੀੜੀ ਵੰਗਾ Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for having us here. Thank you.